Hello, in this movie I want to talk a little bit more about the Grand Lenormand, or the astro-mythological deck. Out here laid out is the first set, or the first suit that I'd like to discuss, which is the clubs. And this set of cards actually originated around the turn of the 20th century, around 1880-ish, from what I can tell in the reading that I have done. And so let me go ahead. I'm going to, whoops. I think I just unplugged the camera there. Good thing we had a battery backup. So let me go ahead, let me put these away, and we'll just start with the Ace of Clubs, which is up here. And the Ace of Clubs belongs to the Golden Fleece group. Let's see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. And so in this picture we see Jason, and he's battling some soldiers for the golden fleece that's hung over the tree here. Now, if you're not familiar with the myth, and this follows the myth, not the movie. The movie hadn't come out yet in the 1880s. So these soldiers are the soldiers who, I may have to backtrack a little bit here. So Jason went sent to, I can't even remember the country. It's somewhere like over from Greece over to Turkey, is the general idea, in order to procure the golden fleece from the king or the leader over there who owned it. And of course he wasn't going to do this without some proof that he was worthy to have it. So he was supposed to like chain up this fire-breathing oxen and till a field and plant dragon's teeth in the field, and then it comes out that Medea, who's the king's daughter, tells him some ways to go around, like stuff to put on his body so he doesn't get burned by the fire-breathing oxen, and tells him that these soldiers will actually spring up after being planted in that field from the dragon's teeth. So that's who he's fighting. Now in the movie, these end up being skeletons. So this is like the skeleton fighting scene from the movie. The letter C, well actually I guess I should start up here. So this is the Ace of Clubs. The constellation is Ophiuchus. I don't know how you say that. It looks like a great big teapot in the sky, and it is part of the ecliptic. That means the sun actually goes through it, although it's the only constellation that the sun does go through that is not part of the zodiac. One thing that's interesting in this particular diagram is it does show the sun in the constellation. I haven't found any reason why that's there in the various books that I've read. And there are other planets that show up in different constellations throughout the deck, and I haven't seen any attributions given to those. So the constellation stands for success in all domains. And the letter C has 3 keywords associated to it: expression, ingenuity, and liveliness. So, and then down here in the large area, as I said, we see Jason. He's fighting a battle in order to get to the golden fleece, and the interpretation is that you will be successful, but you'll have to fight a little bit in order to reach that success. You have everything you need to triumph, and that your success is going to be assured on all endeavors, but it's going to take some work. Now down here on the left hand side, this is Jason and Medea. That's the daughter of the king, and she actually kind of falls for Jason because he either put something and gave it to her, or it sort of is a deception, but she has fallen in love with him, and that's why she's helping him. And it was a deception on his part, if I remember the myth correctly. But this is them going away on a boat, and the interpretation is that you feel the need to get some vacation or to relax for a little while. You finally get to enjoy some free time and maybe renew some ties with people that you haven't seen for a while. So that's what the interpretation of this little picture is. I'm going to skip the flowers for now and go to the other little picture, which is also Jason and Medea. This is about where they first met. It's supposed to be them at a reception, and the interpretation is that your well-being and serenity are going to be disturbed by the arrival of news that's going to upset your projects. So this is kind of like where she's telling him, you know, this getting the oxen together to go plow this field is not going to be a walk in the park, because the oxen breathe fire, and the teeth that you're going to plant is going to spawn warriors who are going to try and kill you. So that's kind of what's going on here. You know, it seems like things are going along nice, but there's a bump in the road here that you're going to have to surmount. And that's the final recommendation, is just to keep calm. Things will sort out eventually. Now, in the middle here is the first set of 3 different flowers. And those, you have to do a lot of research to find out what these flowers are supposed to be, because really they're just kind of blobs on the card. And what they're supposed to be is a creeping buttercup. That's the yellow stuff that's down lower to the ground. That's also called, the Latin name is Ranunculus repens. The other flowers on here, there's a marguerite daisy. I believe that's the little blue flowers that are on here. It's like a daisy. Some of them are white, but there are some that are known to be blue and pink. And then the other flower that's on there is supposed to be, so it's probably the pink ones. I just remembered. So the blue flower is bluebells, or bellflower, which is also called a campanula. That's the Latin word for it. And the Latin word for a marguerite daisy is, I have it written down, but it's Agaranthemum frutescens. So, by the way, I'm like a big mega gardener, so it was pretty important that I go and figure out what all the Latin names are for these various flowers. So that's the first card. It has a lot to do with Jason and Medea, both in all 3 of the main pictures. And so what this arrangement of flowers means, I've just about skipped that. It says, now is the time to be creative and assert your self-expression. It's a great time to be creative with painting or music or writing. Basically it's saying to immerse yourself in the arts. Okay, so the overall interpretation that I've found for this card is that it's supposed to represent success in all domains. Getting away from negative people, and devoting time for yourself to get your projects complete, and that you're going to find a way to overcome all of your difficulties and emerge victorious in the end. So that's basically that card. Now the 2 of clubs, the constellation in this card, and it has no planets or anything in the constellations, this is the 2 of clubs, excuse me, is Aquila, which is also called the eagle. And it stands for very, let's see, being very satisfied with where you're at, basically. And the letter J is supposed to represent creativity, intelligence, and loyalty. And now the main picture that is here, it shows goddesses on the bank of the river with small pots of gold, and which they also call jackpot. So I think we have another positive card here. Down here at the bottom left, I guess I should say what the interpretation of this large subject is. It's supposed to represent getting an inheritance or some kind of a gift or like an unexpected win of some kind. So it might be a good time to go to Vegas or something and try your hand at gambling, possibly, because it's an unexpected win, though, however. So you might may not work out that way. But it's always supposed to be a sign of happiness and tranquility on the way. Now, the bottom left is a bird sitting on top of a rock, and the interpretation of that is that you're finally free from material concerns. You're not troubled or tormented or have any worries anymore. Right now, the door is open for any financial transactions or investments that you are thinking about embarking upon. Over on the right-hand side is another bird, and it's flying to get to the rock. Now, on that interpretation, it means that you need to make some effort to understand the people who are around you. If you can reach some kind of understanding or communication with these people, your efforts are going to bring you rewards. And the final thing is that dedication always brings rewards. But it's going to take effort to becoming more familiar with people around you who you may not be familiar with, or at least being in better communication with them. On to the flowers. There are 3 flowers in here. The primary one is supposed to be wheat. The other 2 are status, which is Statice. The Latin name for that is, again, I have to look at this really close because it's hard to read. Limonium sinuatum. And then the other one is actually a tree, ash, and it is a tree that flowers. And so it's an ash tree that's in flower. And what that stands for, the floral arrangement, is that you're going to be empowered to change your inner being and your behavior in a better way. So, actually, it can be yourself, an internalized change, or it can also be a change of home for the better. It doesn't necessarily mean moving. It can just mean an improvement being made to your home or to the way that you carry yourself. So it's like self-improvement or home improvement, some kind of improvement around your day-to-day living situation. And the overall thing for the card as a whole is, so they say that this river is supposed to represent happiness for you and everyone who's around you. Great luck and opportunities of all kinds are going to be realized for your enjoyment, and often you're going to meet a determined person who's going to bring you success. So you may meet a benefactor. Now the 3 of clubs, excuse me, the constellation for that is Hydra, and Hydra represents an inspiration from meetings. And this doesn't mean like it can be work meetings, but it can also just mean a social visit or a gathering, but it can also be other appointments. And that you will be inspired by meeting people, basically. V is supposed to represent mastery, inspiration again, or construction, creating things. Here in the middle, this is the Hermetic card. He's doing alchemy. It's an alchemical matter is beginning to dissolve inside of his bottle there. And the alchemist is observing the change. So change is kind of the key to this card. And the meaning for that is, so like this alchemist, you're going to be rewarded for your efforts, but it's going to take patience. You may be coming out of a time of darkness, but finally find yourself in the light. There is a great promise of joy and happiness forthcoming. Down here on the bottom right, actually it's bottom left, sorry. So these women are supposed to represent what's known as the three providers, and they're daughters of a priest called Anuus. And the interpretation is that this time you're supposed to be going through an extremely positive cycle, both mentally and materially. To enjoy this time and to consolidate your savings or do more investments. If you're having any health issues, it's saying that they should soon be over, or at least being maintained. And on the right hand side, this is supposed to represent Martea, and she's a goddess of heirs and inheritance. And she's receiving a visit from man. The interpretation is that you may be able to obtain an inheritance, or a very important job change is on the way that could be very beneficial. But there's also a warning not to be too greedy in your behavior or in your requests, and don't try to profit at any price. So keep your morals intact while you're pursuing these opportunities. Don't just try to take them all at any cost, because that will get you nowhere. The overall flowers, sorry. The flowers are supposed to be a white lilac, a willow, and soapwort, which they call a cockle, and but really it's just a type of so really it's kind of a weed. And the interpretation for the floral arrangement, though, is that you'll be more creative and inspired, and that anything that concerns aesthetics is going to be particularly beneficial at this time. And it's a great time, again, to pursue artistic inclinations. Now, for the overall meaning of the card, just as a general meaning, is that if you remain calm and attentive, you're going to be rewarded for your patience, and that very beneficial changes are on the way, and thanks to some kind of a meeting that you've had in the past. There's also a happy and unexpected turn of events that might be presented to you. And I think that's probably as far as I can get in this video, and thanks for watching, and we'll start with the Four of Clubs in the next video. Thanks.